There's a human premise that goes like this. There are things that are always good and there are things that are always bad. And the way the expansion of the universe happens is that there's not a pre-assigned destiny to anything. There is a variety that produces individual desires, and then when you come into alignment with those desires, then that becomes your experience. So it is certainly a possible thing that enough people could experience enough contrast with the threat of something like weapons of mass destruction, or even AK-47s, or even rifles on the 509 that are shooting the windows out of cars in Seattle. It is logical that there could be enough contrast that could be happening in the lives of focused people that they could be building a vortex that includes a very different life. In fact, that's been going on for a long time. That's been going on for a very long time. As people starve, the vortex becomes filled with more food. As people are impoverished, the world is filled with more financial gain. As people are frightened by the assertion of others with violence into their experience, the world is really filled with more peace. But it's filled with this vibrational reality that humans can't see. And so they don't want to accept the reality of it because they can't see it or hear it or smell it or taste it or touch it. And one thing that we've noticed about humans, you've noticed it too, is that in most cases you'd rather have a negative thought than no thought at all. Because the negative thought feels like you're doing something about something. But once you begin to accept the reality of this vortex, and you begin to accept the well-being of life on planet Earth that you've created through the struggles and through the trials and tribulations and contrasts that you've lived, if you can believe in the reality of this vibrational reality, and then you can distract yourself from the things that cause you to push against it and not achieve it long enough that your vibration can rise, when enough of you have that rise in vibration, then what's in your vortex will be realized by more of you. So peace on earth is not about getting rid of the weapons of mass destruction. Peace on earth is about being a vibrational match to what you've put into the vortex that you prefer instead. On one end of it is the pushing against, which the weapons of mass destruction imply. If you don't do what we want you to do, then we will destroy you altogether. And on the other end of that stick is the freedom that everyone is reaching for. So if you can accept that there is a vibrational reality, that there is a vibrational reality that includes love and clarity and peace, but it also includes the contrast that keeps all of that going. If you can accept that this vibrational reality exists, and then you can get off the big subjects, get off of your soapboxes, stop trying to make everything bigger than it really is, and just find a reason right now while you're standing in line with these people to feel satisfaction about something. Or right now in this moment when you're talking with your children or with your mother or with your brother or with your employer or with your employee, to find something that you feel satisfaction about, till little by little you tune yourself to the frequency of everything that you want that's in your vortex. Now, it doesn't take very many of you before you tip the balance of that. But we don't want to talk to you about what you need to do in order to change the world, and then the changed world will make you feel better. That's the same conditional life that you've been living that isn't working out well for you at all. What we want you to do is find satisfaction so that you can live the satisfaction that you deserve. And as you do that, and you do it consistently, then others begin to rise to your vibration. And of course there is the potential to more people feeling more love. But that can't matter to you. You can't let your happiness and your connection be contingent upon what one person is doing on the planet. It's all an inside job. It's all about what you're doing. So lots of times when we talk about this vortex and this collective consciousness, it feels to humans that what we're talking about is that you can get into vibrational alignment, and when you do, you can change the world. And what we want to say is, when you get into vibrational alignment, you can change your world, and that's as far as your personal freedom goes. You can change your point of attraction. You can change what comes to you. You can change what thoughts come to you. You can change how much you are in concert with source energy. And so then the next logical sequential thought that comes from most humans is, well, if I do that, Abraham, if I envision peace on earth, if I create a vortex of that, if I align with that, if all that is joins me and we find this vibration of clarity, then will the world not have to rise with us to that vibration? And we say, don't you think that all that is has been after that for as long as you've been around? Don't you think that source energy, that which is God, that which is love, is focused on that and only that? And with all of that is happening, still humans find ways of pinching themselves off from that. And all the weapons of mass destruction are evidence of your feeling of vulnerability. And shouldn't they be allowed to exist in a universe that feels vulnerability? In other words, if you feel vulnerability, all of the weapons of mass destruction that exist are only mutual to the vulnerability that you feel. So yes, of course, when you feel less vulnerable, when you instead know your value, then they become less mutual to you. They become less of a player to you. They rot in the ground. They become disintegrated. They become non-use. They are not reestablished. But you cannot let your sense of alignment, your sense of well-being be contingent upon what else is going on around you, or you'll just never get there. We want to say to you, and we are so pleased that such a poignant conversation came to the forefront in this gathering of such unique and important conversation. Because if there's anything that we want you to know, it's that changing the environment around you is not the path of least resistance. It's the path of greatest resistance. Changing the way you feel within is the path of least resistance. It's also the path of most alignment. It's also the path of most leverage. It's also the path of most freedom. It's also the path of happiness. It's also the way the entire universe works. You live on the leading edge, which is the most sought after creative environment, because it's an environment where even while you're mastering it, even before you master it, there's so much potential for satisfaction. But it is the sought after creative environment because it's just logical that thoughts come to more and more creative conclusions. Because every one of you has an inner being, and because of the balance of your planet, and because resistant ones are croaking and reemerging into non-physical, and because new non-resistant ones are being born, and because the animal vibrational content is one of pure positive energy, the balance of your planet is so much more that of well-being than that of not well-being, that it's not even a discussion that you need to have. But you know, humans can take one little thing that's bothering them when there are lots of positive aspects, and they can take that one little thing that bothers them and they can use that as their reason to pinch themselves off from all of this other resource. But even if you do that, even if all of you were to decide at one time, which is completely illogical, that you were going to find a reason to all pinch yourself off all at once, still the resources of non-physical that are flowing forward assure well-being on this planet in this leading edge environment of creation. It's just a sure thing. We want to say to you, you don't have anything to worry about. But the things that you find that you use to worry about are the excuses that you use to pinch yourself off from the energy that is what you're all reaching for, and then you come to the flawed conclusion because of misunderstood circumstantial evidence that things are not going well. Things have never been better, and here's why. The contrast causes you to ask. More of you are listening now than ever before. More of you are rising to the vibrational frequency. There's more joy being experienced by more humans on planet Earth today than 10 years ago, 20 years ago, certainly 100 years ago, 200 years ago. It's getting better and better. It is not getting worse and worse. So we know how easy it is for you all to, instead of getting hold of this knowledge of well-being and focusing upon the positive aspects and looking for things to be satisfied, we understand how easy it is for you to find something that's wrong and push hard against it, believing that that is your great service to the world. But it is only a service as long as it gives birth to something in the vortex, and you are all doing that no matter what. So we're not asking you to be complacent about this. We're asking you to be very focused about it. We're not asking you to say, oh, all is well and therefore I don't have to think, because you have to think yourself into satisfaction. We're just assuring you that if you don't do it, everything is not going to be destroyed. We just want you to know that the well-being is dominant, and that as you reach for feelings of satisfaction, you will make that difference. And that's much of what you've been receiving. That is the big picture in all of this. Humans think that action is required, and action is a delicious part of being alive on planet Earth. Action matters a lot. It feels really good to act. But when you act from your alignment, that is action that is satisfying and productive. When you act under the influence of something else, not so much. We know that words don't teach, and that these words of reassurance might not be ringing quite true to some of you who've been worried about a lot of things. But we also want to remind you that we've got the big picture, and that we've seen you coming and going and coming and going and coming and going and coming and going. And in every bit of all of that, you know what our attention has always been upon? You know what the eyes of source energy have always been upon? Not the reality that you're living in any moment, but the vibrational reality that you've created. Because the vibrational reality that you've created is going to be, because the resistant ones among you are going to croak. And the new generation is going to come in and live the dream that you've put into the vortex. It cannot be otherwise than getting better and better and better and better and better. The momentum of the well-being of this planet is huge in comparison with the pinching off of it. You just have to decide how eager and willing you are to get into alignment with the well-being. And the answer to that is, what satisfying thought can I find right now? What is it? Does it have to be a great big thought that I can't even get my thoughts around? Or can I just enjoy that bug crawling across that log right now? It's so much easier than you've been letting it be. We have such appreciation for you being here in this room, being here in these bodies, being here on this planet. You're getting it mostly right in the sense that you can't help it. Contrast keeps causing you to become more. But today we think that you've come to a place where maybe you've decided with a little more determination than ever before that you're going to be aware of whether you're in the receiving mode of the well-being that you've put into this vortex or not. If you could just release your sense of responsibility to the world and let your responsibility be to your connection with Source right here and now, you would solve all problems. For a minute, and then you'd stir more up. And that's a good thing, because the contrast is what keeps us all moving forward. The contrast is what puts the eternalness in eternity. The contrast is what assures the wholeness and the foreverness of that which we are. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain stubbornly, joyously, interestedly in your